Just say I do.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Behind the Veil, a show that provides insight into the world of weddings. Today, I'm so excited because we're literally going to be speaking to somebody that I consider a South Florida celebrity. His name is Bill Hansen with Bill Hansen Catering, and it is rare that you bring up his name or his company name during a conversation that has to do with your wedding or event, that they don't know exactly who you're talking about. I mean, he's been here for more than 40 plus years and over 100,000 weddings and events. And as with any live show, we've been having some issues connecting with him. So we're hoping that we can get those worked out. But in the meantime, let me introduce our Behind the Veil co-host, Marcy Gutenberg, with an affair to remember by Marcy.
Hello.
Hi. Okay.
Hi.
So I am like, the thing is that we ask our people to jump on like 15 minutes ahead of time, and they did all that, and they did everything right. But you just never know with technology.
You never know.
I know. And so,
and let me tell you, he's got a lot of fans across this country. I mean, he's an industry icon. He is so well known in the industry. I mean, everybody really has a lot of knowledge. When he's like the knowledge king in our industry, everybody goes to him.
Well, and that's the thing is that, the fact that he's been around for more than 40 plus years. And again, let me repeat that, over 100,000 weddings and events. I mean, that's an icon as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, yes.
That's an icon, and the thing is that I was looking through his website, and they have over 100 plus venues that they are the preferred caterer for.
Mm-hmm.
Over 100.
That is a crazy amount.
That's a crazy amount. And I was looking over it, and I mean, we're talking about Temple House. We're talking about the Alfred DuPont building. We're talking about Vizcaya. I mean, just to name
Villa
a few.
Woodbine.
Villa Woodbine. And it was funny because before we went on air, I was saying, like, I have a tasting today with him at Villa Woodbine at I think 5 o'clock. So we're going to have to jump off. I'm going to have to jump off and run out the door and head down to Miami, because God knows in traffic, you never quite know what it's going to be. Right. But, while they're working out their technical issues, let's talk a little bit about, offsite catering, because I think when you're a couple and you're looking at a venue that doesn't have a kitchen or a catering company already attached to it. Oh, and there he is. But with the catering, there's just a lot of questions. But I am so excited because Bill Hansen made it. Bill, yay! Bill, can you hear us?
I'm going to try another one.
That's okay.
Keith,
you're here.
This one, and Marcy, because this one. Yeah, I've been here since 1:45, but I can't seem to get it done. So I need to.
That's okay.
Let me try another connection. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you.
We can hear you fine.
And that's the thing is that, when it comes to events and to live TV, they're kind of similar, because you just kind of have to roll with it. You figure it out and you move it on. You just go, okay, done. Next thing, moving on. So, Bill, we're just so excited that you're on the show. Thank you so much for being part of Behind the Veil. Okay, we're going to let him figure out what's going on there, and then we're going to continue our conversation over on this side until he figures it out. But when it comes for offsite catering, I mean, there's just so many things that can come into play when we're talking about offsite catering. And the catering portion of it is a big part. The food and beverage service is a big part, but I don't think a lot of people understand that there are issues with kitchens, service, power, lighting. Oh, read my mind. Oh my God, read my mind. You know what I mean? There's just
I remember my very first offsite event, and I did not realize that I needed lighting, and I was like, oh, I mean, we got something to be able to rig it at the moment, but that you need lighting. I mean, your people have to break down tables, they have to clear tables, they have to move about, and it's not always a level surface. You're dealing with grass sometimes and things like that. So you're dealing with a lot of unevenness. So yes, it's definitely something that you got to think about, all the little details.
Well, and think about Well, and think about if it rained the day before or the day of,
Oh.
right? I mean, we've all been there as
Yes.
event planners that we've been dealing with, like, oh my God, we had this amazing outdoor venue that's stunning, and we've got everything set up that's just fantastic. And then it rains for 10 minutes.
And then
10
you get
minutes.
the soggy water, soggy
And
floor,
then,
soggy grass.
yes, and then you get the soggy floors and the soggy grass, and and here you have like this amazing caterer that's out in their field kitchen. And of course, I've worked with Bill Hansen a bunch of times, and the thing is that what I love about his team is that they always think about those extra pieces, meaning that they include tents for their field kitchen if they feel like it's needed. Like if they have an indoor space, they don't care. They're like, okay, we're in an indoor space, we can deal with the weather. But if they're in an outdoor space, they always say, look, we have to have a kitchen that's covered by a tent for our event. There's just no way around it.
Exactly.
I mean, we've all been through the horror stories of having an offsite caterer that just didn't know what the heck they were doing.
Right.
I mean, I'm not going to bring up any names, but I recently had a venue specific event that had a caterer that was basically the only one allowed at the venue. And the thing that I didn't like was the fact that, I didn't have any choices, right? I didn't have the opportunity to bring on somebody like Bill Hansen. We had to use theirs. And
so if you didn't like their food, what do?
I didn't exactly.
You can't have your event there.
Right. That's what I'm saying is that we could, but it didn't matter if we didn't like their food, or if we did love their food, it didn't matter because that was their only choice. And I feel like if I'm a bride that's out there looking for a venue and the venue says, well, you have one choice of a caterer, I go, I put that in my, do I really want this place column, right? Because I think that if you don't have a choice like Bill Hansen or a Daniel Peacock, or it's somebody that you just don't know, how do you know that there's any need for them to do extra?
Exactly. I mean, do you know that they're going to follow through and give you the experience that somebody like Bill Hansen and Daniel Peacock would be able to, level with? I mean, how long have they been out there? There's so many questions that go into it. So I mean, you want to make sure that you're dealing with somebody who knows what they're doing.
Right. So if you were thinking about a venue that was outdoors and let's say a unique location, and again, I'm going to just reiterate the fact that Bill Hansen has over 100 different venues here in South Florida that he is the preferred caterer for. But let's say that you're a bride thinking about a unique venue. What are some of the questions that you feel like you should be asking of your caterer? I know it's
how
kind of
long
like
have you? Well, first of all, I would probably say how long have you been doing off-premise events?
Right.
I mean, that would be a first and foremost. I mean, based on my own experience of not knowing that I needed to have the lighting. I mean, I knew about the tent, I knew about all the other stuff, but the lighting was the very last thing that at the end of the night I didn't know. So you want to know how long have they been doing offsite events? Right. You want to know, are they able to manage moving about throughout the facility without, with ease? Right. Have they worked at the facility that you're looking for, the venue? Yeah. You want to know if there's any limitations that they have with producing a menu. Are there things that you can't serve that you may be able to serve at an indoor venue or so forth?
Well, so let's just introduce Bill Hansen with Bill Hansen Catering. Hi, Bill. Bill, can you hear us?
Hi, Bill.
Oh, hi, Bill. You've got your mute on. You're muted. Can you hear us? Oh, the joys of live shows. All right. So, all right. So if you'll just reach out to him during the private chat, let him know that we can't hear him. And then we'll go from there. So guys, if you're out there and you're thinking about doing a unique venue, just understand that some of these things come into play. I mean, you have to think about glassware, plateware, a live kitchen. Who's going to take away the trash? I mean, that seems to be a big piece when it comes to offsite catering. It's like it's amazing how many times when trash becomes an issue. But let's see if he, oh, there he is. Let's see. Hey, Bill. Oh, Bill, we still can't hear you, sweetie. We still can't hear you. All right, we'll be back. Anyway, so
I feel so bad for him. He blocked out this time. I mean, like,
Well, and the thing is that I still want to be able to provide some type of useful information for our people that are out there watching the show. And so, when it comes to when I do offsite events, I mean, I remember I did this event at a place called the Crystal Palace here in South Florida. And it's this huge venue that's like 30,000 square feet. And one of the biggest issues that we had was not setting up the locations for the food, but the power that was needed to run all of these offsite, ovens and lighting and grills, and just the amount of staff that was needed in order to prep this food. When you're doing an event for 600 or 700 people, I mean, there are some serious logistics that jump into the fray, right? And so we're going to try Bill one more time. Hi, Bill. Can you hear us now? Well, okay. So I think you can hear us, but we can't hear you yet. So we'll try again shortly. Anyway, and then also on top of that is that you have to have, like, where do you take all the dirty plates? Because they're like, again, Crystal Palace, when we're talking about Crystal Palace, we had to figure out, what happens after, people take away the plates. Where does that go? Because many times you don't want to send back fully dirty plates back to the rental company. They actually require the fact that you clean them off before
at least rinse them off. I mean, yes.
Right. So it's not just right. So it's not just a cooking kitchen, but it's also about, like, how do you make sure that the plates are put back into the corresponding crates to go back to the rental company. And when you're talking about 600 people, 700 people, you could be talking about thousands of plates, of plates. Holy moly. I mean, that becomes its own city, really, at the end of the day.
And then you have to deal with glasses. And that's another story.
And that's another story. And then what about, when you had to switch from glass to plastic? I mean, I've been at some venues where they were poolside and you weren't allowed to use glass by the pool, and then had to switch over to plastic and then back to glass at some point, and which took its own level of coordination. So let's check one more time with Bill. Bill, can you hear us?
I can hear you, but you can't
hear me.
Yes.
Yay, praise the Lord.
Yay. Oh,
yeah, great. I'm sorry, but I even have a sound engineer here with me. So I even bought these little suckers. I never had them before.
Screw that.
They didn't seem to work. So Marcy and Keith, great to.
But we're doing exactly what you would do during an event, is that we're rolling with it. We're figuring it out as we go. And, and the thing is that in between when we did the introduction and to now, we were talking about some of the things that you might have to deal with an on-site catering. But let me go back to the beginning, because I have so many, I am so enthralled with you. I remember when I first went into business for myself here in South Florida, I had just left my position as director of catering at Ritz-Carlton. I'd opened my business, and you were the first person to reach out to me to say, first of all, congratulations about opening your business. And then you said, let's meet. And I was like, oh my God, somebody knows that I'm like a business for myself. It felt like almost like the queen, like, touched me on the shoulder with the sword and said, okay, great. And I still remember that we met at Bass Pro Shop. Yes, for coffee. And I just thought, I mean, I still remember that entire conversation from start to finish, because you are considered, and I know that you probably won't say this about yourself, but you're considered kind of a celebrity here in South Florida. I mean, you've been around longer than almost anybody and continue to provide excellence every step of the way.
And very, very well known across the country, obviously through probably NACE.
Yes.
And other organizations.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, as I say, it's great to be here, and at my age, it's great to be anywhere. So I'm happy to be here. Yeah.
Oh my God. So, I love the fact that you give credit to those that help you start in every bio that I've read about you. I mean, I find that because when we talk, and we've talked to a lot of people on the show. I mean, we've had over 160 shows, almost 100% unique, right? And inevitably, and I don't think they do this on purpose. I mean, it's just part of, the biography kind of thing, is that, they don't always give kudos to the people that help them start. And you do. I mean, it is part of the very beginning of your bio. It's like, I started with somebody else.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I always say you're only as good as the people you surround yourself with. And I'm never, ever, ever afraid to hire people that are smarter than me. That's very important. You find,
Yes.
I mean, I don't cook, if you can believe that. I've owned my own catering company for 42 years, and I don't cook. I always say I book it and they cook it. And so I've been fortunate now to have Dewey Lasasso as my corporate executive chef, and Mary Rohan, who in her earlier time used to be with Ortonique over in Coral Gables.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So I've been blessed to put together a team of people so that I can sit here on a Tuesday afternoon talking to you.
Right.
When I've got probably right now 50, 60 people working away doing the things that I used to do, but fortunately I don't have to do anymore, which makes it nice.
Well, and I was actually telling Marcy during your connection piece is that I actually have a tasting with your company tonight, actually, for a wedding that I'm doing at the Bonnet House. And I was like, how random is the fact? And I'm like, well, it's not really that random. I mean, you have your influence over the South Florida market is incredible. It is just incredible.
We're trying to do that. Is that with Alexander Catering? Is that who you're tasting with?
No, I'm actually tasting with Bill Hansen Catering.
Bill Hansen, okay.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
If you don't like his food, then you can go to Alexander Catering.
Yeah.
And that's my other company up in Boca. So between Alexander and Bill Hansen, we pretty much probably do 50% of the catering at the Bonnet House now. So.
It's incredible. And, and is Villa Woodbine yours? Did you buy Villa Woodbine, or is that?
I wish I could have bought that venue years and years ago in 1988 for about 1.3 million.
Oh my God.
And that included almost 4 acres of property.
Right.
3 other homes on the property. And back then I wasn't smart enough to do that. And so I've been running it ever since. Now the latest challenge at Villa Woodbine, we always have neighbor challenges.
Right.
With music, we have to be very strict on the music.
Right.
But the other challenges is recently it was sold to Carrollton School, a Catholic girls' school, and they want to turn it into a Catholic boys' school. So the neighbors have been fighting ferociously to keep that from happening.
Right.
So my days there are somewhat uncertain. It's mainly year to year. I hope it lasts because we're pretty much booked on the good nights there through the end of this year and most of the Saturday nights in 2023. And like many of you on the call, you're probably getting requests for 2024 and beyond.
Oh, it's crazy. I mean, I've never seen a season like this. And actually, I was just reading an article that said that there are going to be more weddings that happen in 2022 than the highest rated year, which was 1984. And that this is going to be crazier than ever as far as business. And, and I have to tell you that, 2021 was a nightmare. There's no way that I'm going to allow myself to go through that. I mean, do you get to a point that you stop saying, okay, we can't take any more business? Or do you have a large enough team that says, doesn't matter. We're going to take care of you. Come into our fold. We're going to make sure that you have an amazing event.
Well, that's a good question. There are certain sold out weekends, and that's why I've been merging and trying to acquire other companies. Right now, I'm here at La Jolla Ballroom in Coral Gables,
Oh, I love that.
which is a fabulous venue, and the owners have reached out to me to help them with the marketing and management of the property.
Right.
So in fact, I'm sitting in the conference room where we're going to be meeting at 3 o'clock to, talk about the arrangement. I own Alexander Catering, Lovables Catering Kitchen,
Yes.
Ethan Catering, and we have a very good partnership right now with Kosher Table Catering. If these guys are amazing.
Yep.
I mean, you would never, I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it, but you would never know you're eating kosher food with them.
Well, and that actually is a big thing here in South Florida, because kosher food used to get a really bad rap here in South Florida. I mean, you think, kosher.
These guys are amazing. We went over to the big temple on Miami Beach, the shul.
Right.
And they interviewed 26 caterers, including us. We were one of some that passed the first go around. Wow. And we did a tasting for them that blew the rabbi's wife away, the president away. I mean, it was unbelievable. So now we're in the process of trying to negotiate a deal at this brand new ballroom that's going to open within a few months. It's going to seat 600 people.
Yep.
Kosher only, and it has a glass roof and a street side patio. It's going to be really cool. So,
well, let me ask you. I mean, you are at 100+ different venues as the preferred caterer. I mean, I went on your website and I wrote notes down, because I was like, when I was preparing for this interview, and I was looking at your website, and it breaks it down into venue price, number of guests, location, and type of venue. And it made me think, oh my God, your website was like the TripAdvisor of unique venues in South Florida. I mean, I was like, okay, click. Okay, here's my list. And I just thought that was, okay, first of all, brilliant on your part, and also incredibly helpful for so many people that are coming in from South Florida, because we are now, I mean, more and more, like 80% of my clients now are destination couples, which has never happened ever in my experience as a planner, which is crazy, because it used to be reversed. It used to be like 20% was destination, 80% was local. I mean, how do you stay ahead of the curve?
Well, I actually employ one person that maintains venue relations with a number of venues around South Florida, and we're forever discovering new venues. One that we haven't even been to yet is up your way, Keith. It's Cielo.
Yes,
it's an estate. I haven't been there yet.
Oh, you're gonna love it.
Forever looking at new venues and discovering venues. There's one in North Miami owned by Barry Skolnick, whose name you can see on the top of one of the hospital towers at Mount Sinai, to give you an idea.
Right.
And his iconic collection venue is perfect for corporate. If a client has 20 grand or so to plop down on the venue, it's absolutely perfect. And there's indoor, outdoor. The other one that I think is really cool for corporate is the Burrito Collection.
What is that?
That's a collection of all Romero Burrito's artifacts. He actually works there. It's loaded with the colorful pictures and paintings of everything that he's done, and it's just west of 95 in the 70s, somewhere in that part of town. So I mean, there's more and more venues popping up. There's another one called the Gary Nader. Gary Nader is a prominent art collector.
Right.
And he has, I just discovered it like 3 weeks ago. You could probably do stand-up there inside for 1,000 people or more. And the second floor is loaded. It's loaded with what's his name? Botero.
Right.
Believable. You know, my wife collects owls. We've been collecting owls the whole life. And there was a little owl. I don't know if you guys can see me. It couldn't have been more than 6 inches high, done by Botero himself. So I asked him how much it was. He says it was $595.
Right.
So I'm thinking it's got to be $595,000.
Oh my God.
Too rich. Now, Keith, if you want to go in with me, we can maybe, and everybody else on this podcast, maybe we can chip in.
I got 5 on it.
Yeah. You need $5. I got $5.
$5.
There you go. Yeah.
So Marcy,
oh my goodness. So
Marcy,
I have, yes, there's 2 schools in particular that are here in South Florida. And with the influx of students that are getting into this arena at this point in life, you know, at this stage in the industry, what would you say to them as, like, if you were giving them, you know, kind of a lecture or something, what would you say to them as to what to think about in their early stages?
Well, the first thing I would tell them is I've got good news and bad news. The good news is that over 30% of the people working in hospitality have left.
Yes.
That's the good news. The bad news is that it's really, really hard work. And we are working while everybody else is playing. So that makes it a challenge. But for anyone that wants to enter the field, if they're willing to work, if they're willing to be relentless in their pursuit, they can do very well. And the sky is the limit. I mean, there's just so many opportunities.
Yeah.
I'm always looking myself for young people. I think you guys know I've taught catering management at FIU for 30 years.
Yes,
so
you did.
I've been able to recruit a lot of my team members from FIU. And it's been a true blessing. And so I do talk to them all the time. And the advantage of teaching, of course, is I can separate the winners from the losers. and that really helps. That really helps. So that's what I would tell them. Great time to enter. And the other thing I tell them right now, you could not be in a better place to get into the hospitality business.
I agree.
Again, I got goosebumps because I moved here in 1975, and I went to work for a department store named Burdines. I don't know if anybody.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Please, girl, please.
Wow.
Burdines.
That was my favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll set that one out.
And when I came here, there was really nothing. And if you remember, in 1980, the cover of Time magazine had the cover image of Miami Paradise Lost. Miami Paradise Lost. I can remember.
Oh no!
We had the McDuffie. You remember the McDuffie riots? We had those.
Yes.
And ironically, one of McDuffie's nephews now works for me. Believe it or not.
No, that's a crazy thing. You know, I mean,
wow, how ironic.
Yeah, give it enough time, everything is full circle. It really is. Everything is full circle.
Of separation.
Marcy, you had a second question?
No, I just said it's 6 degrees of separation.
I know, it's crazy.
Oh, it is. Yep.
So, Bill, you know, obviously you've been in the South Florida market for a long time, and you know you have huge success. What do you think? What kind of advice would you give a new entrepreneur that is getting into the wedding market specifically. I'm not talking about hospitality in general. I'm talking about the wedding market specifically. What are some of the like tips that you can say for longevity? Because I've always said, success is not based on a flash in the pan. You could have all the sparklers that you want and all the LED lights on your fingers as you want and all the, the little Instagram posts that you want. But longevity always will make you a success if you hang in there. What are your like tips, general tips for somebody that's just getting into the market?
Sorry, it reminds me of the book Relentless, written by Tim Grover, who trained the likes of Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and D. Wade.
Yes.
And he classified people as coolers, closers, and cleaners. Coolers are sports people who have a great game.
Right.
Closers are sports people who have a great season, and cleaners are those people that have a great career. And this is the kind of advice that I think is good for anybody, because it's not a quick path to success. You have your good years and your bad years. And
right.
I think we've all coming out of 2-3 bad years as we speak right now. But the one piece of advice I would give is it's as much as who you know as who knows you. So if you go back to the introduction, what did I do with you? I came to meet you. Okay?
Yes.
I have 18,000 connections on LinkedIn. I have 5,000 Facebook. So it's, to me, in the catering business, I always say this: if you don't book it, you can't cook it. So we decided to make our company a sales and marketing organization, right, that sells catering and events. That's what we decided, like, I guess it was about 6-7 years ago. We read Good to Great, get the right people on the bus, get them into the right seat, and then figure out what you can be the world's best at. And we decided we could be the world's best, at least locally, in catering, sales, and marketing. And I think we've actually achieved that. So I would tell anybody new in the business, right, to work on your relationships, get out and about, do the bridal shows, go out. Another one of my sayings is high tech cannot replace high touch, but without high tech, you limit your potential for high touch. So getting out and rubbing shoulders and elbows without a mask, that's the best thing, because the more people you know, the more successful you are going to be.
Well, I found it, like, again, I'm going to go back to the fact that you reached out to me, like, literally within weeks. I mean, it was surprising, actually. I mean, the only thing that I really put out there was like a Facebook post that I said, starting back into my business. I mean, most of my first year clients were people that I'd already been doing events with at the Ritz-Carlton that, then hired me for their personal events. It was kind of incredible that you had your thumb on like the new and emerging talent that you do, and the fact that you personally reached out. It wasn't one of your salespeople, which I completely understand, because you have a huge company, and they're all super lovely, because I've met many of them, and they're always kind and generous and always easy to reach out to, which is surprising in our South Florida market, right, especially now. But it was you specifically that reached out, and you specifically that met with me, and I just was like, it made an impression that I still remember and feel like specifically today. I mean, I can tell you everything about what I was thinking on that way to the meeting, and all the things that I was thinking when I left that meeting. I mean, and it was like 30 minutes. I mean, we're not talking about 2 hours. I mean, it was just such a unique perspective. And I think what you did is you made me feel validated as an event planner. And do you feel like that personal touch is still as important today as it was
Yeah, I think it's more important. I know with my millennials, I have a number of millennials on my sales team, and they'd rather, send a text. You might push them to make a phone call, but really you gotta, my best salesperson is an amazing, she's also in her 50s, so she's well experienced, but she's all about the high touch, and she makes everybody feel absolutely special. Right. And that's really, people want to feel important. Right. People want to be felt like you understand them. And people also, it's one of our core values, is people also want to be treated with love and kindness. And there's too little of that right now in this country and in the world. I mean, it goes a long way just to treat people with respect. There's always something good you can find about everybody. You can ask questions of anybody I meet. I can ask 2 or 3 questions. I just got back from Grove Bank and Trust. I had to cash a check and open an account over here in Coral Gables. And the teller there, I gave her my card and I said, oh, and then she said, oh, do you do catering? I'm planning my mother's 60th birthday party. And it's just, when you pay attention to people, I don't know if she can afford me or not. Maybe she can afford Lovables. I don't know.
I know, but it made me laugh because you're like, do I do catering? Like, you don't know my name? Hello, Bill Hansen. Hello.
Yeah, that's right. And so that's what we're trying to build is my big, hairy, audacious goal is to build a center in Western Dade County where we can solve the entertaining needs of anyone, whether they just want some liquor advice for a house party, where to buy it, or if they simply need a bridal planner, they already have everything else. Or if they need tabletop items, or if they need floral decor, if they need a venue. And then part of this whole thing will be a large warehouse full of rental equipment. We're looking at about 70, 80,000 square feet of that. And then another 30, 40,000 square feet of commissary, housing as many as 20 different catering brands. So no matter what's your taste, whatever it is, whether you want the ultra luxury brand at $500 a person, or you want the chicken and rice dinner at $75, you can come to me and we'll help you out. Doesn't really matter. Obviously, we prefer the first rather than the latter, but
you have me at dinner,
and we'll have the design there, and that's my big, hairy, audacious goal. I'm like Zig Ziglar. Zig Ziglar used to say, I'm not retired, I'm required. And that's who I am. I'm 76, and I hope the good Lord will give me another 20 or so years to get this all done. So
I hope for our South Florida community, I hope so. But, so Marcy, you were going to ask about trends?
Yeah. So, obviously 2022 is like the biggest year that we've had, I think, in my history. And I know that in 2021, they say that 75% of the people that got engaged are actually planning to get married in 2022.
Right.
So with that being said, what would you say is like, what are some of the trends or fads that people are starting to see that are just on the tip, they're just starting to come out now?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, that's a very good question. I like to describe it this way. Millennials, they want it my way, they want it right away, and then they say, why pay?
Right.
and so everybody really wants to be distinctive. Everyone wants to have it their way as opposed to what you did for someone else. One of the things that I'm seeing is that more and more, I've been a catering company for years and years. So food has always been the emphasis. You know, that's 50% of the wedding is the food in the bar.
Right.
But what I'm seeing now, it's really amazing because people are more and more getting into tabletop items. This company we have, this is a different look, is a company I own, and we sell B2B. So
you own Different Look? What?
Yeah, I didn't know that.
I did not know that.
I own 50% of it. Felix, who you probably knew,
yes,
and Monica, they decided to part ways personally.
Right.
And then I was able to buy Felix's share, and I brought in an amazing guy named Craig Edelman, who is a brilliant. He has degrees from Cornell and Wharton. That's what I mean about hiring smarter people than you.
Right, right.
And we're blowing that company up. We've had a lot of hiccups. We don't. When we bought it, we didn't even know what we had there. And I'll be honest,
I love them.
If anybody's on this call and you didn't get exactly what you wanted, I apologize right now, but let me know and we'll fix it, because we're really trying. We're really trying hard to get it all systemized and have the right thing. So I think the look to me is becoming more and more important. We're seeing a few couples going back to food stations again.
Yeah.
For years it was seated serve. We're seeing more and more of that. I'm not really the right one to ask because I'm not in the day-to-day planning business, but I can tell you those things are generally important. Here's the big one. This is the big one.
Yeah.
Because of the demand for weddings, more and more couples are opting for weeknight weddings.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we generally at Villa Woodbine, we were like Friday, Saturday, Sunday on a good weekend at Villa Woodbine.
Right.
We have weeks where we're Monday, Tuesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. A wedding every night. Not all of them mega affairs, but they're $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 weddings, smaller ones, and it's great. So that's a big. You got to go get my plug, my batteries. I told you to plug it in.
Oh, no. All right,
you got to run, Michael.
No worries, but all right. So, before we lose you, because hopefully we don't.
No, we're gonna get it in a minute. He's got to run though.
That's all right. But one of the things that I want to ask you about is because I know that you've had experiences with some pretty high profile people. And I know that there's a story about you and Stefan and her serving lemonade to a sweltering group of vendors. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, that was a United Way party. It was in the I think it was 1995, and we were good friends with Chuck and Sue Cobb.
Yeah,
he's a former ambassador to Iceland, and she to Jamaica, and they were tight with the Bush family.
I want your life. I want your life. Oh my God, I want your life.
And then the next year, Gloria hosted it, and they hired us to do it.
Right.
And it was a hot, sweltering day. And, we're used to being treated not so nicely. It's like I've had people say, where's that caterer? What does he know? He doesn't know anything, and they don't know I'm listening. And she actually came out, passed lemonade, not herself, but one of her house people.
Right.
Passed lemonade to everyone. And then at the end of the night, which was really cool, one of my employees, Mike Meltzer, who now has his own catering called Michael's Catering. He works out of Temple Israel.
Yeah,
he was having a birthday that night. So we asked them if we could stay there a little later, have some birthday cake and a couple beers. And she said, of course, not a problem.
What? Oh my God. I want your life.
And so we stayed out back and, I had one with, I can tell you another story if you'd like to hear another one.
Please.
What reminded me of it was one of the guys that was at the party was Thomas Kramer. Everybody know Thomas Kramer?
Yes.
And I remember he wanted to come, but they told him unless unless he forked out the money, I think it was $10K to go, he wasn't going to be allowed in. So he found the money and arrived. But then right about that time, he was opening a club on the beach called Club Hell. Can you get this for Craig? And he asked my wife and I in the heat of the summer to come over with my late partner, Bill. I had another partner for 25 years. He said, would you come over? I want to do a tasting. So we went over there. We set up outside in the hot sun. I remember there was bird poop and dog poop all over outside. They were painting the side of the building, paint flapping down in our faces. And so the first item we served was these sliders, these mini beef sliders. And my wife was inside. My wife, Terry, I call her Sugar Girl, and she and I have been together. We've been married 38 years, and she worked with me till I wore her out for about 20.
Yes.
And so we passed those, and she was inside. And the next thing I knew, she came storming out of the back of Club Hell. And her hair was on fire. And she said, come on, Bill, we're going. We are out of here. What? This was a $40,000 job. Why are we leaving?
Right.
She said, I'll tell you later. Here's what happened. Kramer told her, after he tasted the slider, he said something to the effect of, I think I'm going to have to get my German chefs over here and teach you guys how to cook. I didn't want to hear that. And she, and so we were out of there. So there's lots of stories.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh. You are just full of stories, and I know.
Oh my God. So who's your favorite celebrity out of all the celebrities that you've been dealing with? Who's your favorite? Who was the one that you went, boom, I love it. Yeah, that was it.
Probably, I would have to say Pope John Paul, who I really never met him. We just served him.
What? Pope John Paul?
And then Bush 41, we served him twice. He was very nice.
We love Bush 41. I actually had to say, it doesn't matter what your political aspirations are, but Bush 41 was the class act from start to finish. Everybody that I've talked to that had to deal with Bush 41 was like, he was incredibly polite and really funny. Really funny when people talk to him personally.
Yeah, Bush 40.
Oh no, did we leave you? Oh no.
Yeah, I never met, but we came.
Okay, wait. So Bush,
you guys there?
Yeah, no, you went out for
Bush 43. Yeah, when he was running for president, we catered an event at the Cobb's residence down in Tahiti Beach. But I never met him. I love President Reagan because we served him at Vizcaya along with the Pope.
Right.
As far as celebrities that we've served lately, I mean, I think you hit it. Probably Gloria Estefan because she was so nice. We've catered for a number that are quite difficult to please. Yeah. And we've catered for some that are, the thing is, they're all people like you and me. Yes. I used to think when I was a kid, like if you're famous, you don't have any problems. you had more problems than the rest of us,
Yes, 100%. Oh, 100%. When people say, "Oh, I want their life," I'm like, "No, you don't."
No, you don't.
I guarantee it, you don't, because I've had some great conversations with some fairly famous people, and I think, "Oh my God, the weight of your world is actually on your shoulders because you were responsible for everybody's livelihood." Where I'm responsible for 3 people, they're responsible for hundreds, maybe thousands of people on their shoulders. So if they decide to take a year break, it's not just them, it's all the people that work for them, all the concert, all the I mean, it's just incredible how much extra stress that falls onto a single human being. I mean, I know that Pink gave she gave this amazing interview talking about the fact that she does a worldwide tour, and then of course she had several kids, and was trying to raise kids while doing a tour, and on her mind constantly was, if I decide to take a break, that means stadiums don't have people that are working. I don't have people setting up my show. I don't have people selling my tickets. I don't have people on my web. I mean, it was crazy to see how far out that bullseye went and how many people were incorporated. As you get bigger in the South Florida market, because you are big, I mean, here in South Florida, do you feel that kind of pressure? Like, you know, not Bill Hansen is not just catering anymore. Your venues, you've got multiple catering companies underneath you. You've got venues that are now working, that are part of your company. Are you starting to feel personally that kind of stress? Like,
not at all. Not at all. No.
Wow.
A couple of reasons, because the people that I have working for me are more than competent in their job.
Right.
I will say occasionally I'll worry a little bit about money, but I'm also a man of very deep faith. Right. And I know that the Lord or the higher power or whoever you choose to believe in will never, ever, ever give you any more than you can handle. And I start my day in prayer every morning. I do it every morning. When we have meetings, I pray, because none of us can do it on our own. Nope. And so that's why I don't feel stress. I'm just, I've been dealing with it. I have before. I used to pick my fingers terribly, you know. Yeah. And not that I haven't had stressful moments. Right. And of course we all worry, but living in the present, living in the now right now is really what matters, and being thankful. You know, it's hard to feel stress if you give praise and thanks to other people. It's hard to feel stress. I agree. So, you know, so when between now and I'm sorry that I'm asking a lot of questions, Marcy. I'm so fascinated with Bill. So between now, let's say today, and the fact that you had to live through COVID, that you had to survive through COVID, versus the other roadblocks that have hit your business since the 1980s. Have you seen anything else like COVID that you can relate it to, or is COVID unique in its situation? COVID was good and bad. It was bad from the health standpoint, but for many companies it was good, because the government really took care of business owners with PPP money, grant money, SBA loan money, and also employee retention money. Right. So that was different. I believe probably worse than that, I remember around the time of the .com bubble in 2000. Right. Yes. We got down to we never had to put money into our company. We'd always made enough and paid ourselves well. We had to come up with $50,000 to put into our catering company. Wow. And my wife and I both said that if we have to put any more in, we're going to do something else. That was hard. And then the recession in 08, 09, oh my God, that was our business tanked about 30%, not as much as it did with COVID, but there was no government relief. And whatever equities people held, they tanked. If you had any money in the market, that was rough. And it's funny how this ties back into about, it's not who you know, but who knows you. Right. The chef that I had hired had a connection to a Catholic high school called Archbishop Carroll Senior High down in southwestern Dade County. Right. And we went in there and we did $4.25 lunches. We did 625 of them a day. Wow. We cleared $1 on each one. So we made $1 for 180 days. So I figure we cleared 100,000 or so on that. and that really, and then we expanded into another school. And for those 2-3 years, that kept us through. While that was going on, one of my competitors, I won't mention her name, but her initials are JW. And who's laughing?
Me. I'm sorry, Keith. I'm sorry. I know exactly who you're talking about.
And she'd been kicking my ass in the marketplace for years, because she started with me in 1981.
Right.
And by 1988, she could run a party at Vizcaya, and I didn't have to show up. I wanted her to stay with me.
Right.
She wanted to move on. So that was fine. So then I got into teaching, writing, consulting, doing catering boot camps, building websites. And then it was after the recession, it was probably around 2011, I made a decision. I'm tired, because I'm extremely competitive. I do everything in love and kindness, but
you're competitive? I have no idea.
I'm very competitive. So we decided that I was going to focus on the catering company.
Right.
Because it'd been a $2-3 million a year company. It paid the bills. It was okay. And so I brought in a great COO named Adam Burchad. And over the next 4 years, we quadrupled our sales. Okay. And through that time, we did a few things. One of the things we decided, what could we be the world's best at?
Right.
And we decided we could be the world's best at catering, sales, and marketing. And that's how we got started. And then we had setbacks from the Zika virus, if you remember that.
Oh my God.
And then we came out of that, and we had the hurricane.
Yep.
And we no sooner got out of that, thought we were back on our feet in, 2020, going crazy. And then in March, I guess it was March of 2020, I just come back from the catering conference in Las Vegas, and the world collapsed around us.
Like everybody else, because we were all there, and we all went through it, because we were like, oh my God, wait, is that happening? Oh my God, we got to get home. How do we get home? Yeah, no, I remember. Oh my God, we all remember this.
Yeah. And by the way, that company that you were kind of pointing out there, they're no longer in business.
Nope, they're not. Yeah.
Well, they are. They actually are. Yeah, they shut their doors.
Yeah.
And then they pretty much laid off everybody.
Yeah.
They had a fabulous chef that's now with Constellation. They had a great salesperson, and they laid everybody off. And then I think she turned the company over to one of her key people, and now I think they're back in business. And I think I've heard good things. I did a tasting up at Living Sculpture Sanctuary, if you've ever worked up there in Broward.
Yep. Multiple times,
Mary Lou's said they did a great job with the tasting. So I wish them a lot of luck.
Well, and I think that's the thing, is that here in South Florida, there's so much business that, the only thing that we can do is try to be good partners to the people around us. I only get upset when people try to undermine. I don't, I feel like all is fair in business and war, until you start saying horrible things about somebody else. You should prove yourself based on your own experience and the people that support you. And I think that it's one thing that I can absolutely say about you, is that you've always talked about your company, your successes, and never said anything about anybody else's product or otherwise. You said, look, you know what? You want to judge us on our work. Don't judge us on our work in comparison to somebody else. This is us. And that's really hard to do. I mean, I remember when I first went into my own planning company, I had a boss named Russell Holloway. He had a company called oh gosh, now I can't think of it. Oh, of course, my brain just went completely blank. But when I decided to go into my business for myself, he was 100% like supportive. He said, yes, I want you to be like bigger. And he goes, and I want you to be successful, you know, but I was very careful in making sure that my market didn't cross over his for multiple years, right? Because I didn't feel like that was fair, you know. There should be,
sorry,
go ahead, Marcy.
No, I was just going to say, when you surround yourself with people that you know and like and trust, that you know that you can be there for one another, you're boosting yourself and you're boosting each other up. You're surrounding yourself with people who are good people. I mean, that's what it's all about in our industry. I mean, that I see is that we're always there for each other. I mean, especially South Florida in particular is just, we are there for one another.
Yeah. And, you know, and that's the thing is that when we went through COVID, I've never seen a community bond quicker than anywhere else. It was incredible that, you know, we had people that were in multiple catering companies like Peacock Catering and, you know, and your catering company, all doing everything they could to support volunteers and people at the hospitals and our first responders. And it was incredible to watch this as an outsider outside of that world. And, you know, and it made us wanted to volunteer and do what we could. I mean, that's why we started the show, actually, is a response to that. And so, you know, and so, Bill, I can't even thank you enough. I mean, the hour's already over. I mean, I want to talk so much more. Anyway, so, Bill, I want to say thank you so much for being on our show. I mean, thank you. Thank you. And it again, if you're in the South Florida market for a wedding or an event and you use the name Bill Hansen or Bill Hansen Catering, they're going to know exactly who you're talking about. And I say yes. If you have a choice, say yes. Oh my God, because you will not be disappointed. Oh my God, they're amazing.
I hope you have a great tasting, Marcy. Good to see you.
Great to see you, Bill.
How's the NACE chapter doing?
They're doing great.
Doing great.
They're doing great. You know, the amazing thing is that we were one of the few not-for-profit associations that did very well through COVID. We basically managed our bank accounts really well to ensure that we were financially responsible and to ensure that there would be a future legacy to happen. And so now Anna Hess is the president and she is an event planner. So I'm happy to say that, you know, basically for 6 years in a row, we've had an event planner in the lead. And that's just a unique perspective to have an event planner themselves, because we get to incorporate everybody. And so we're not totally focused on one area of the group. And she is doing amazing. Oh my God.
Oh, she is. And our Florida area, itself, is going to be hosting the conference this year, which we haven't had a conference in Florida for a long time.
Really?
So it's going to be in Orlando.
Yes.
Yes.
What are the dates? Because I would like to come up. So.
I want to say July something. I'll send it to you.
Yeah, we'll get you to those offline. But okay. So thank you so much again for being part of Behind the Veil this week. Next week, we're going to go back to the conversation about vendor meals. Okay, so.
Oh, my Lord.
I know.
That's a whole other story. I don't want to go there, because the challenge is the vendors want to eat when you're trying to serve the guests.
Oh, believe me,
that's a challenge. And
this has been a major hot topic.
Here's the deal. Here's the deal on vendor meals.
Yes.
Caterers like myself have to serve the vendors spectacular meals.
Right.
Because the vendors are your eyes and ears and mouthpieces in South Florida. They're even, I hate to say it, more important than grandma that flew all the way down here from Minnesota. That's 92 years old. I mean, so it's very important. So thank you guys. It's been an honor and a pleasure. I apologize for the sound issue.
It's fine. You know what? We were used to it with our live shows. This has happened before, and no worries. I'm just so glad that we got a chance to actually talk to you. And then, obviously, in a couple of hours, it'll be available for our podcast people from Spotify, iTunes, name it, wherever you get your podcast from. We'll be on there. And for the moment, I just want to say thank you, and everybody say goodbye.